Hello and welcome to the show. I am Joe Tophat. Walter Peck is one of the most memorable movie antagonists ever created. He's arrogant, he's a jerk, he has no dick, and he works for the government. What's not to hate? For the record, that last part was a joke. I know not everyone who works for the government is bad. For a lot of fans, Peck is the true villain of Ghostbusters. It was because of him that Gozer was able to come to our world. For some people, Peck may have been an asshole, but he was in the right. After all, the Ghostbusters had dangerous equipment, like the proton packs. Also, shutting off the containment unit caused the explosion. Why would they keep something so dangerous in their basement? For some people, Peter is at least partially to blame for the explosion, for the way he treated Peck. I respect everyone's opinion, but not all opinions are right. You see, there are certain facts that people who think Walter Peck was in the right love to ignore. And the truth is, facts don't care about opinions. The fact is, Walter Peck was wrong. He is 100% to blame for the explosion, and I'm going to prove it. So without further ado, let's begin. A lot of people approach this subject from a political perspective. I'm not going to do that because, one, that's one rabbit hole I don't want to go down, and two, I think it's more constructive to look at this situation based on how the characters behaved. So with that out of the way, let's go over the scene. Walter Peck, who works for the EPA, visits the Ghostbusters one day. He asks Peter Venkman a series of questions, and Peter simply answers them. Then Peck asks to see the containment unit. Peter asks why he wants to see it. I say that's a reasonable question, don't you? Unfortunately, Peck's reaction is anything but reasonable. He starts to yell at Peter and throws out wild accusations against the Ghostbusters. Then he demands to see the containment unit or he'll get a court order. Peter replies, "You go get a court order and I'll sue your ass for wrongful prosecution." Peck goes and gets a court order, and despite Egon, Peter, and the Con Ed workers' warning, he shuts down the containment unit. This caused an explosion, which led to the Keymaster meeting the Gatekeeper, which led to Gozer. Peck then has the Ghostbusters arrested, and you guys know the rest. I have nothing against the little government oversight when it comes to how businesses conduct themselves. With that said, how Walter Peck handled this situation was terrible. I've heard some people say that Peter was behaving unprofessionally towards Peck, so Peck had every right to go off on him. This doesn't hold water, because Peter answered all of his questions. You could say that Peter should have been a little more mature, but still, he answered the questions. As to why he didn't just show Peck the containment unit, Peter is a business owner. A business owner has the right to know why a guy from the EPA wants to see his containment unit. Peter wasn't even being a smart aleck about it. He really wanted to know why Peck wanted to see it. Peck, on the other hand, goes into attack mode. He lists off some rumors about the Ghostbusters, and based off his tone, he believes them. Then he tries to bully Peter into showing him the containment unit. Being from the EPA, Peck has every right to investigate anything that can be potentially harmful to the environment. He doesn't have the right to go on private property and bully a business owner. Peter refused to be bullied. He also threatens to sue Peck for wrongful prosecution. He'd have a very strong case against Peck based on the fact that Peck offered no proof of his accusations. I know some of you guys are gonna say, but Joe, the explosion could have been prevented if Peter had just let Peck see the containment unit. Or he could have asked to have a conference with the others about what to do. So Peter is at least partially to blame for the explosion by making an enemy of Peck. To this I reply, this would only work if Peck is a reasonable guy, and the truth is, he isn't. Walter Peck doesn't believe the Ghostbusters are legit. He goes in thinking they are frauds without any proof. Even if Peter showed him the containment unit and had Egon or Ray explain how it works, Peck would have found a reason to shut it down because he thinks they're charlatans. He even refuses to call Peter Dr. Venkman, even though Peter has 2 PhDs, possibly indicating that he doesn't believe Peter's an actual scientist. In other words, Peter didn't make an enemy out of Peck. Peck was already an enemy. Allowing him to see the containment unit would be like Superman giving Lex Luthor kryptonite. You just don't do it. As for the court order, Peck doesn't get it to just look at the containment unit. He gets one to shut it down. He has no proof it's harmful to the environment, yet a judge grants him a court order to shut it down, meaning that Peck had to lie to the judge to get it. Most judges don't like being lied to, not to mention the fact that it's illegal. How many of you still want to defend Walter Peck? Before talking about the explosion itself, let's go over the events leading up to it. Peck walks into Ghostbusters headquarters and threatens to have Janine arrested when she confronts him. A court order doesn't give Peck the right to march in like he owns the place, nor does it give him the right to threaten Janine, who is only doing her job. Peck should have went to her desk first and showed her the court order. Instead, Janine had to demand to see it. Janine may complain about her job, but she was going out of her way to protect not only her rights, but the rights of her employers. If you ask me, she deserves a raise. Egon explains to Peck the dangers of shutting down the containment unit. The Con Ed worker even advises against it, and he isn't associated with the Ghostbusters. Peck refuses to listen to either one. Some of you may be saying, okay Joe, so Peck may have handled the situation poorly, but he was only thinking about the environment. I got news for you. He never cared about the environment. I've known people who believe that there shouldn't be an EPA or any other government agency like the FBI or CIA. One of the reasons why this attitude exists is because of guys like Walter Peck. It doesn't matter whether or not you think the EPA should exist. That's besides the point. The point is, Peck abused his position in the government to get back at a guy who ticked him off. If he truly cared about the environment, he would have gotten a court order to look at the containment unit and make a judgment himself. Also, when they were in the mayor's office, Peck never once mentioned the environment. He just called them charlatans and blamed them for the explosion. Correct me if I'm wrong, but shouldn't a guy from the Environmental Protection Agency be concerned about the environment? It's not Peck's job to determine if the Ghostbusters are frauds. That should be left to the police or the FBI. His job is to make sure that the containment unit doesn't have any harmful effects on the environment. Something he never tried to determine. This is why Walter Peck was in the wrong. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments section what you guys think. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.